Hi, I want to show you how the internals of Git work, and in particular I want to show you the Merkle tree that Git uses to keep order in files. So here we've got two files. The first one is just called something.txt, and inside it is just some text, something new. And the second file, hello world.txt, and inside that is hello world. So the first thing that Git does, it actually takes the hashes of these files, and here underneath I'm showing you the beginnings of those hashes. So the hello world one starts with 980A0, and something.txt, that hash is DC025, etc. Okay, and what we're going to do is that we're going to create a tree, and we do that by adding the files to Git. So we basically stage those files by doing a git add, and that will create a tree object, and that tree object is basically dependent on the something.txt and also on the hello world.txt. So basically you can think of it as hashing these two files together and creating a new hash. And that's what's called a Merkle tree. If we altered either of these files, then this top hash would alter. Okay, so that this hash depends on basically the content of these, or you could say the hashes of these. And then finally in Git we do a commit, and that basically adds a little bit of data that then creates a new hash. Basically it says who's committed these files. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move on as well and we're going to edit something.txt and create a new tree and a new commit, and that commit will depend on this commit one as a parent. Now what I'm going to do is show you in the Git infrastructure the files that are created. So we're going to bring up our command window. So I'm using git bash here. So these are the two files we've got, hello world.txt, and if we cat hello world, we'll see it's got hello world with an exclamation mark, and if we cat something.txt, it's just got something new in it. Now we can create hash out of this. So the first thing I need to do to start using Git is to do a git init. So here at the moment we just have those two files. Now we've got to put a place for Git to work, so we do git init, and this will create, you see here, a .git directory, and inside that you'll see there are other subdirectories, and one of them is called objects, and this is where Git is going to put some of the data structures that it's going to create. And typically head is just a simple file that will point to the head that we're dealing with at the moment, so the top of the Merkle tree if you like. And there's some other ones including refs. So let's start. If I just want to show you what's in objects at the moment. There's basically info and pack. Now what we're going to see is as we add objects, so if we do a git add, and we add, for example, let's do hello world, you'll see now that if I do this, there's a new subdirectory, 98/. Now it turns out if we go back to our diagram, here you'll see hello world starts with the hash of it starts with 980A0. So Git takes the first two letters, the 98, and creates and uses that for a subdirectory name, and then takes the rest of the hash for a file name inside that directory. So let's go back and take a look. What's what in that file that starts 98. So we'll do ls-la.git hash objects hash 98. And there you'll see the rest. So this is now the hash of that file. So 980a, etc., would be the hash of the hello world file. So let's now do a git add, and we do something. And if we go back now and look at, you'll see now there's a file starting 88. And so the hash of something.txt is 88 something something. Okay, let's see what happens when we write a tree. So we see now that we've got, it returns to us a hash. If we look inside objects again, we'll see that the tree now is in here. It's the one that starts 18. Okay, so now let's do a commit. We need to write a message, so I need to do escape I, and this is our first commit, and I need to WQ to get out, right? And let's take a look now at our objects. And so we see here now that we've got yet another object. So what we've got here, we've got 4 of them. And if we go back to our diagram, we'll see that they correspond to these 4 boxes. So this is the Merkle tree, if you like. And if anything changes down here below, it'll be reflected in a different hash up here. And we can continue this process by, for example, if I edit something.txt so that it's changed, then it'll create a new tree. And if I do a new commit, we'll see that that commit points over here. So let me go and show you that. I'm going to move now to a slightly different directory that agrees with these hashes, so that we can see exactly what's going on. So let me go. So here I'm in, instead of git exercise 2, I'm in git exercise, but I've got my git directory there, and we'll see that if I look at the objects here in this one, now you'll see that I've got a lot more. Okay, so what's happened now is this structure corresponds to this diagram. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 objects in there. And if we go back to this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of those are in there. Let's walk around these, and to do that we're going to use a different command. So we're going to use cat file to see what these are. And I happen to have got a list, and I can pull it up here. The 17 is a commit. The ED down here is a tree. So I can take a look. So here I'm looking at ED67, okay? EDE67, that's the beginning of the hash number that's inside this subdirectory here. And if I do that, it tells me, okay, this file that's inside points to these 2 blobs, hello world and something.txt. Yep, so you see how this is structured. And if we go to another one of these, for example, the commit, the 1.7, let me copy that, then we'll see that this commit points to the tree. And in this case, it's the top commit that after everything, and it points to the old parent, and then it's got information about who wrote these. You see here it was my second commit, so that was pointing to this whole, this is that one here, the 1.7 commit 2. So you see that you can navigate around the .git file structure. I suggest you do that, and if you do that, you'll feel much more at home with Git.